I can see myself for the next 10 years going hard. Like there's so much talent. There's so many nice people. Of course, there's also not so many nice people, but it's always, you can't. There's always two sides.
All right, well, the holiday season is approaching rapidly, and we have a little treat for you today on Cheap Esports because I am in the presence of FEBIVEN, the ex mid laner for Fnatic, H2K, Misfits. I mean, so many teams, right? And you've been through a lot of experiences in the scene, and it's a very exciting time because you are taking on a new venture now, going into coaching as well as you just announced. So, I mean, first of all, hello to you. Nice to meet you again, I guess, and be here with you today. So, um, do you want to say anything to the viewers and also, I guess, other people that might not know you because you are like one of the early legends of the scene, right? So maybe the newest LEC fans don't actually know you that well.
All right, yeah, of course. My name is FEBIVEN, and I've been starting my professional League of Legends career in 2014, where I started with Cloud9 Eclipse, and after that I went into H2K, and everything went so well back in the day that I instantly joined Fnatic in 2015. Obviously, I had amazing start there where people might know me for solo killing Faker at MSI, and I think from there, kind of we already hit the nail in the coffin. We started building our fan base. We started obviously with winning LEC 2 times in 2015, having great teammates, and yeah, from there on, I think everything just kind of uh, went very natural. I played in many different teams, and I've played in the LEC for around 5 to 6 years, and then the last few years I've been playing in academy, trying to work my way back up. However, right now it's the right time for me to switch because I feel like my playing time is kind of over, and now I really want to focus on helping other people and share the experiences and the lessons that I've learned over the years to help the younger generation. Try to replicate my success and of course other professional players as well.
And for you as well, you're in a very cool situation, I guess, in a way, because you've had so much experience, right, over the last 11 years. I mean, I remember watching you way back in the day when I was still in school, right? And I'm here today as well. So, I mean, it's been so many years. And it's really interesting as well because I remember that back then in the scene, you had a bit of a reputation, as well. I remember that you were much more in the moment, much more also like, I don't know, fiery, I guess. And now you're much more like held back and you seem much more controlled and cool about like how you act and everything. And I just want to ask like as well, how's it been for you like to discover yourself again and like be able to have this personal growth as well and now be in this position where you want to start coaching as well? Because it seems like you've grown a lot over these years, right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was just starting, everything was about myself. Of course, going into professional play, it really takes a lot of, I guess, effort to of course get your name out there. And of course, everything started with solo queue. At some point I got very high in the ranking. I had 3 accounts in top 10, and then at some point there's teams that want to connect with you, and then it's all about showing your skill, right? And showing what you've got, and that's something that of course I showcased, and then obviously a lot of success came with it. However, failure as well came of course with it too. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, like people like to
Yeah.
say. So of course we had a great run in 2015. Everything went perfect. Basically, we won like almost all of our games. Of course, behind the scenes you don't see everything that goes wrong. So of course, going into 2016, I felt like on top of the world, and I felt like I could replicate that success that we've had going for us in 2015. However, things started actually falling a little bit apart, and we actually didn't even get to Worlds after that amazing run.
Yeah.
So after that season, I was kind of devastated. I remember I was sitting at home and I was like, how is it possible that you go from 1 year from winning everything to going home, not even reaching worlds after such a successful year? And this kind of made me realize that there was a lot of things that I was not doing that were great. I started reflecting a lot on what I was doing and just trying to figure out what I can do to help my teammates and to help myself to become a better player and teammate in general, right? Because it's not just about playing the game, it's also about, of course, having a connection with your teammates and understanding your role in a team. And that's something that I started to figure out, or I started to learn, I guess, during that setback of a year. And I guess that's kind of where it all started. From those setbacks, I had to learn and I had to be able to come back, right? And I think that's what I kind of showed in H2K later on, where things started to bloom again, and we actually got some success there again.
Yeah, and I mean, now also that you're like taking this step back and you're taking this different approach as well, what do you think is like maybe the major aspect that you've been missing at this time as well? Because as you said, you had a lot of time to reflect, right? And obviously for you, 2015, the year where you went undefeated with Fnatic, was the best of your career. And then unfortunately, it was a bit of a downwards trajectory after that as well. So like, what do you think now today with this this step back you can say was missing back then?
Oof, well, now when you say that it went downwards after that, it's like something that comes up to me a lot of times, where it's like, okay, you play your second year competitively, you win both times the league, and then you go to Worlds and you make it to semifinals.
Yeah.
So like after that, your expectations are very high, okay? But in reality, this is something that's very crazy, and it's it's not impossible to replicate because people have been doing it. However, that standard was a standard that was like very, very much on top, and it was very hard to reach again. But I would say that I was very, how do I say this? I didn't have an open mind at all, okay? I was very focused on just me, just playing well myself. And I wasn't very open to new stuff because I always just did and played how I always played. And of course, it was working in solo queue and it was working as well in competitive. So I kind of just stick with that concept. However, when things don't go well, then of course you need to figure out and acknowledge what is not going well and how you can fix those things. So that's kind of, it's just the nature of failing, I suppose. You always look for solutions, because if you don't look for solutions, then you don't want to be stuck where you don't learn. And of course, it's a competition which is constantly growing. So you have to progress and you have to move forward.
Yeah, and this is something that's interesting to me as well, because at least from memory, I remember your times in Misfits afterwards when you were still in the LEC, and I remember clearly a lot of splits where you looked like at least top 4, top 3 mid laner still, and nonetheless, unfortunately, you did not manage to achieve the results you probably wanted with Misfits, right? We know what happened, especially with the super team in 2019. That was quite unfortunate. But do you feel as well like that once you hit that kind of slump, it's difficult to get back up as well, because it feels like it's the kind of thing that happened with a lot of players. Something that I found very similar as well recently was the trajectory of Trimby as well, for Rogue, who like he entered the LEC, right? He won the league as well. He went to Worlds, and since then like he's been on a bunch of teams, and even though he's still like looked at as like a very good player, it's very hard for him to like get back up. And yeah, it just seems very difficult. Like once you hit that slump, not being able to get back on the top team as well. Like there's a bit of a stigma, it feels almost, right?
Yeah, it's definitely true what you're saying. I think it has to do a lot with perception. And of course, if a player reaches a certain, success, let's say he wins a title or two, I feel that a lot of people in the scene, they kind of expect that person to do it again. However, I don't think that's very realistic. I mean, of course, you are a champion. However, there's so many aspects that take place in that. And when the player managed to not succeed those expectations, I feel like the value of the player or the perception of the player goes down a lot in a way where they expected him to do such great things again. However, he didn't do it, so then his value dropped. I don't know if that makes sense. However, I think that happens a lot where players have this huge pressure on their backs, where if they've, they won the LEC and then the next 2 years they don't perform, there must be something wrong with him that he's not winning. And I think this is, of course, something very extreme. However, this also has to do with, of course, how players operate in teams and just, well, there's only 10 teams, right? So there's only 50 spots in the end. And as you can see, there's so many things that's connecting to a team, like whether it's salary, whether people are looking at the age of the players or, the experience. So there's so many great players and it's impossible to all have them play at the same time. And this is what you're seeing a lot now.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we've seen in the LEC even recently, right? So many players getting left out, and I've seen like some people complain about it, even like say that like some teams are looking too often like for rookies and stuff, and like there's some players that are still good that don't even end up having teams. But all that aside, still continuing on to your career as well. After Misfits, you ended up in 2021 in the NLC, right? And since then, you've played in many different ERLs. You went to the Prime League, to the LFL as well. And despite that, you still had like some pretty decent success. Obviously, like there's also like League of Legends is a team game, right? You can't like solo carry your way to like winning everything anyways, and that's something you've learned as well throughout your years and worked on as well. But what do you think is like the major things that you've learned throughout your times in ERLs after the LEC as well? Because I can imagine that like working with all these rookies and the players that have like not as much experience as you in the LEC, for example, must have been very different, right? So what learnings did you take from that time as well?
Oh, okay. So patience.
Yeah.
Patience is a perfect way to describe it, I suppose. I think that obviously, as you said, when you go from the LEC to the ERLs, the overall level drops. Of course, the gameplay drops, the overall intensity drops.
Yeah.
It's just everything is on a lower pitch, which is of course normal. However, for a player that has played on the highest level for so many years, of course, it's very hard to adapt to that, if that makes sense, and to get used to that, because you're used to everything being so try hard. You play with the best players in every position in your team. You have everything perfectly set up. For example, with a team like Fnatic or even H2K back in the day, or even Misfits, all the teams had a great structure, a gaming facility, everything, like everything that you needed as a player to succeed. And then, of course, in ERL, you have some projects that you are playing from home. And you just have, as I said, everything is on a lower pitch, from salary to player skill to, the scrims you're getting. For example, you're going to be scrimming against academy teams. So what I learned from that is that I need to be very patient. That's obviously a skill that is very hard to master. However, you need to be patient with the people around you. Especially for myself, I can say I was a step ahead of course, the people that I was playing with. And in the end, you're only as good as your teammates, right? So I had to become very good at guiding my teammates, helping them as much as possible. Of course, while playing well, right? So I was just, instead of starting to focus on the outcome all the time, right? So you're always focused on, if we don't win the championship, if we don't win this, that, then it's a failure. However, I tried very hard to detach from the outcome, and I started focusing a lot on the process, okay? So just the day-to-day practice, how I operate, how I communicate, how much energy, for example, I give towards people and the training, and just really focus on everything that I could do to be a better player and to be a better teammate. And that obviously means having a lot of patience, being very open,
Yeah.
and working on my own, spiritual being, of course, working on my health, and just really try to, give the energy that I still really want to play, and that I'm still very passionate, and that I want to reach great heights that I've reached before, right? So yeah, those are kind of the things that I try to work on, and some of the learning lessons that I try to pass on to the other boys.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that aside, I guess just last question regarding your playing career as well. Because obviously, like you've had what, like 1, 2, 3, 4 years almost in the ERLs, right? I mean, is this something that, like, in a way, you will be missing now that you're moving to coaching as well? Because I mean, as we discussed earlier this year, right, in TDS, it felt a bit like it was your last shot at, like, still making it and being able to continue this dream. And unfortunately, TDS, as we know, the team didn't work as intended, I guess, in a way. And it kind of pushed you to making this move a bit as well. Is this something that you regret in any ways? Would you have continued playing if it wasn't for the results of TDS this year?
Oof, that's a very, very, very hard question. I think that, I don't know, I feel like there's a time and place for everything. And I don't really know, to be honest. Like, I don't really know how it would have turned out. However, I always acknowledge and really feel the passion for trying to help other people. And over the off season, I realized that sometimes I get way more joy from helping people, seeing the progress in people, seeing the progress in myself, than actually like that end result, which is actually winning the whole thing, right? And I think the more I started detaching from that, the more I started really finding my true passion, if that makes sense. So it took a lot of time and reflection. I do believe that, I mean, for now, of course, the playing part is over. However, there's so many other things that I can help with. For example, my brand. I haven't been working on my brand at all, to be honest. And I have so many fans over the years build up, and I just feel like it's time to give back. Finally, after all those years of playing, you're very self-centered, focused on yourself, and you're not really, it's very intense to be a pro player, and it's very hard to, for example, stream and also, make content while being a pro player.
Of course.
Because I feel like it will hurt one or the other, right? So of course I'm still very competitive as a person, and whether that's helping people online or being a coach in a team, everything is something that I'm interested in. And of course I just want to help as much people as possible, and just expand and try to see what's possible in another way. And I think I don't know, that's just what I love to do now. And when I wake up, I just want to help people. And
makes sense. And I mean, by doing this move as well and going into coaching now, retiring from playing as well, do you feel like you are starting the next chapter of like maybe 11 years again as a coach now? How long do you see yourself doing this? Because I mean, obviously you've been in esports so long, right? So how long are we going to see FEBIVEN in the scene again?
Oof, well, I don't know, man. Like, this is kind of this is my home, It's like, when I look back all over these years, I've made so many friendships. I've met so many people. I have seen, for example, funny story, Exakick, for example, he always tells me he was like 8 years old or 7 years old when he was watching me play at Worlds. And now I see the guy is actually like becoming a superstar himself. And I have been in contact with him for a very long time now, and I can just have very, like it feels like he's my little brother, and this someone that just I see from him having so much respect for me, and I of course feel and have to give that back to him because I see the potential in him. And it's just all the friendships, all the people that I've seen build their careers, build success, for example, like Perks, Caps, which actually ended up taking my spot. I have nothing but respect for all those people, and also massive props to Riot, because I don't know, Riot Games is an amazing company. It's really, they really try to make everything as easy as possible for the players to perform. For example, if there's a Worlds event, they will make sure everything is covered. It's like crazy, from backstage to traveling, from hotels. It's like I can say nothing but good things about Riot, and I'm just very glad the way everything is evolving. And I think that obviously all the events are great. There's a lot of interaction with the fans, and it's just, I know there's so many people who love esports and love League of Legends, and I've been playing since the beginning of times, and I'm just very grateful that there's so many people that come to me and tell me, hey man, I've been watching you since 2015 and you're the reason why I started playing League of Legends, or why, like Fnatic 2015 just inspired so many people to play the game. And now it's still to this day, people come into my stream and say, hey, like I'm really happy and I'm really grateful that I got all those playing years. And I don't know, it's just something that I started doing for fun, playing this game, and then everything like this just evolved. So I can see myself for the next 10 years going hard, like there's so much talent, there's so many nice people. Of course, there's also not so many nice people, but it's always, you can't. There's always two sides.
Yeah, obviously.
Just gotta find the people that fit you and that you want to surround yourself with, and I'm sure there's enough people, and that's where I'm gonna put my energy into. So yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think this is probably a good time to make the segue into your new project, right? Because, you've been streaming and all that stuff, but you have a new platform that you are building right now, right? You are going to be getting started into coaching and doing more content as well. So could you just go ahead and tell us more about your project?
So yeah, actually the last month I have been thinking and reflecting a lot how I can have the most impact and help the most people globally. So I've been journaling a lot, trying to figure out what I want to do, but I'm actually gonna build from myself upwards. I am creating my own website where I will be actually selling courses, League of Legends related courses, from assassin matchups to mage matchups to how you should be playing in the mid-late game, and of course way more things I'm going to be adding over the months. However, this is the start, while of course offering private coaching, so one-on-one coaching, that of course I will keep very exclusive. I don't want to be streaming any of this. I want to make sure that when someone books coaching with me, I will be really focusing on that person and how I can help that person, rather than putting it everywhere online. I want it to be very valuable for the people who actually want my help, and I'm very ready and I'm very excited to start that. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm also going to be uploading personal content on YouTube. So not the most typical League of Legends gameplay related videos. I really want to share more of my personal thoughts and, for example, my thoughts on the League of Legends community. And besides that, I'm going to be streaming a lot and see where that goes. Of course, I still love to play the game, and people love to watch me play. So this is what I'm going to be trying to combine for now. And I feel like this is what I should be doing. So I'm going to pursue this for this upcoming months.
Yeah, and we've seen so many ex-players as well go into coaching. It's something that's been very popular, I guess, in recent times as well. I mean, just to cite a few of your ex-teammates even, I mean, Yellow Star was a coach for a time. Right now he's a player agent instead. Dan is a coach. Soaz was a coach as well, right? All players that you've been with in teams. So I just want to ask you as well, like, what do you think are your strengths as a coach, and what sets you apart from all the rest as well?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Well, I believe that every person has their own skill set. So I don't believe that, okay, I'm better than that person straight up. You know, of course, everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. I believe that I'm very good at spotting specific details. Of course, I've played so many scrims. I've played against, you know, the best of the best years in, years out. I've played against, you know, Faker, Caps. I've played against all the mid laners. I have obviously played with the most great players that you can think of, you know, Razorg, who's doing great now, Hans Sama. I've played, as you said, with Soaz. I've played with Gorilla. I've played with Jankos, Odawamne. So I don't think you're going to get more or better teammates than those. And of course, the whole Fnatic lineup as well. Also, I've played 1 year in America, so I have found myself to really enjoy working with other people. So I really get energy from the people around me. And I feel that I'm very good at reading people. And I think this is something that is very important when you're coaching. Of course, you're working with a group, or let's say you're working with an individual, to figure out yourself how that person operates. So I'm really into psychology, and I think you can help a lot by identifying how a person is in general, what he needs, and this way you can adapt and be flexible with your own personality to help that guy as much as possible. So I feel that that is a great strength of mine. So yeah, I think those things combined, and of course I'm very open. I have a lot of energy. I believe I have a lot of respect from the community as well. And yeah, I don't know. This is really my passion. This is not something that I am doing for the money, or, you know, I really feel like this is what I should be doing. So I'm very driven, you know, in what I do, and I really stand by, and I'm really confident in my ability. Else, obviously, I wouldn't be able to set everything up like this. So yeah, those are the things that come on top of my head.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And I mean, earlier you were talking about like Exakick, for example, right? And all these younger players nowadays that are playing as well. And I mean, as like a veteran and now coach as well, I want to ask you, like, in your mind, what is like the biggest point that younger pro players tend to be missing? Because I mean, as you said, like, there's a lot about like mentality, right, and all that stuff. Is it something you think they are missing, like, because a lot of time, like, they don't approach the competition correctly and stuff? What is the major aspect in your mind that like younger people are missing?
So I think that it really depends player per player. However, what I'm witnessing is that most players don't understand how to create balance. So I mean, this is kind of what you see, right? When you watch the Eastern teams, you hear that they're playing till 5 a.m. and they're playing League of Legends all day. And, you know, T1 with Faker is actually winning trophies like that. However, this is not always like the most optimal way, in my opinion. And now I do know that some of the Asian teams, they also do exercise, and, you know, they value their what they eat and stuff. So their nutrition is very important. So for the younger players, what I see is they're very stuck on this one way. Let's say the way you are playing your champions, or the way you view certain champions, or they are not open enough to new ideas, to try stuff, to understand that new matchup. That, you know, it's very easy to say, oh, I'm really good at this, and they are good at that. However, obviously you have to identify your weaknesses and build around them, while also building on your strengths. So I would say the whole being open to different stuff. maybe it's even a nutritional thing, or maybe it's going to the gym, or maybe it's spending your off day not playing League of Legends. Okay, so there's so many things that can have an impact on your performance, and I think most players are not aware. So I suggest younger players to really try to learn from the greats, like learn from Faker. Faker has been saying in interviews many times how he says exercise is really important, nutrition is very important. He talks about reading and meditation, and those are things that I'm sure 99% of the community are not even aware of. But man, he is the GOAT, and he has been winning over and over and over. And he's talking about those specific things, and I'm sure that those things are having a great impact on his performance, and obviously his team as well. So to sum it up, like all of those things together, I know that it's a lot of stuff, but the small things, like really sweat the small stuff, because they really make a difference.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I mean, bouncing off that as well, because we've been talking a lot about like pro play and stuff, right? Obviously, right now you're going in a different part, right, of the industry. You're going more into like personal coaching with like standard players, not necessarily like all the pros and stuff. But if this project is successful, are you keeping a path open for maybe later on moving more into like pro coaching again? And I mean, maybe going to the LEC or something like that even, and trying to be a head coach again, or even just an assistant coach? Because I mean, it's something we see so much, right? Like, I mean, there's like Young Buck back in the day as well. Yamato as well was a coach or a player back then and stuff. There's so many different coaches, right, that make this this path there. So is this something that you're expecting could happen in the future?
Of course, there is many organizations that I would love to work with, and I am very aware of the organizations that I believe have great values and are really in it to win it, if that makes sense. You see some organizations that are just doing everything in order to succeed, to make their whole organization grow, to make sure that they get the best rosters possible. Now, of course, not everyone has the resources for that. However, you can see that the top teams always end up being on the top. I am very open to all projects. Of course, I must say that I am a little bit picky, if that makes sense. So I kind of know, I guess I know, I guess, with what kind of people I want to surround myself with. And of course, I have a lot of experience with the scene, so I know a lot of people. But no, for sure, I'm very open to this, and this is something that I've been looking for in this off-season. However, I haven't found the right project for me. I've had a lot of talks and a lot of interviews. However, it wasn't the right time, and sometimes that happens. So we will see what comes from it. And of course, I'm a competitor. I've been a competitor since I was born. I've been playing games forever, and of course, I love to work with people. So this is, of course, something that I'm very excited to in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And you've been talking a lot about how you're doing all this because you want to be helping out people, right? You want to be giving back to the community and all that. But do you have like a bit of like a goal for this year, like something that you would want to achieve, like even if it's like a number of people that you want to coach, or something in particular? I don't know, like the growth on like the streaming or whatever, or anything like that. Do you have like a specific goal, or are you just going with the flow this year and seeing where it leads you?
So I would say I'm very, I don't know if I'm different in this sense, but how I view it is that I'm obviously still very young. I'm 28 years old.
Yeah.
I have just transitioned into coaching, so I'm learning every day. Every day I wake up. Every day I am with my own thoughts, and I'm thinking, how can I do this better? So I'm thinking, every day I feel that I'm already making some sort of progress, whether that's how I want to put the course together, or how I would want to operate with my clients, how they would want me to coach them, for example. And I am just living day by day, man. I am just streaming, and every day I see, hey man, when is your coaching available? Hey, when is this project launching? And I just want to make sure that I live day by day. I'm not gonna set a great expectation. Oh, I want to be selling this amount of courses, or I want to be I want to have coached over 100 people in 1 month. I as I said before, I really want to take it day by day, step by step, because I feel that every day I'm learning so much that if you would see me, so Fabian 1 week ago, this Fabian 1 week later is already like a little bit more experienced about stuff. So I want to take things slow, step by step, and just be patient and see where it leads us.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, obviously with this new platform as well, you're going to be seeing a lot of like different people, right? I mean, probably different roles as well, like probably top laners, supports, mid laners, jungles or whatever, or even players from like bronze to like gold to master or whatever. I mean, how do you see yourself like tackling all these different profiles differently? Or do you feel like you're ready to like take on pretty much anyone with all the knowledge you've gotten?
Yeah, this is of course going to be a challenge. However, I do have the experience of working with the greatest players in multiple roles. So I, of course, have created a lot of knowledge, and I've learned a lot about other roles. So yes, I'm very open for coaching any role. I think that, as you said, there's going to be a older guy that wants coaching, and maybe there's like let's say a 40-year-old who is just gonna start out playing League, and then you have a 13-year-old who is like challenger already, being a Katarina OTP, right? So I think that's really fun, and I am very excited if that would happen, because I would just try to identify exactly how I can help them the best way possible. And I know that there's everyone is different, so I will have to help everyone in a different way. And that, I think, makes it so exciting and fun for me, because it's a challenge for me to figure out how I can do that. And I'm very confident that I will be able to do that. And maybe I don't know exactly yet, but I will have to wait till I actually, talk to them and try to pick their brain and try to see what they need and what they're lacking, what they're good at. And of course, they can be asking me any of the questions as well. And it's gonna be I can adapt very well. I'm very flexible, and I can be very just be very open, with the people, and just try to understand exactly what they need.
Actually, I have a fun follow-up question to that as well, I guess. What do you think would be, like, in your mind, the hardest profile to coach for you? Like, if you had to, like, say, like, role or like the rank as well, like the age, I guess, or whatever, who would be like the hardest person to coach in your opinion?
All right, so that's very clear to me. I would say a jungler.
Okay.
That's always blaming his laners, okay? so in most League of Legends players, they love to blame other people.
Yeah.
But the junglers, I can understand their role is very stressful, because it's like every game, you're the jungler, and you are like playing with 3 laners that you don't know, and you're playing maybe three different matchups every game. So I can understand the frustration that comes with that. So of course, like, the frustration part is a whole separate thing. However, I can tell that jungle can be the most frustrating role because of the, how do you say this, the inconsistency of pathing and the laners and the interactions of the laners, because you have to constantly adapt. And I think this is something that's very hard, and it will be very challenging for me to teach that part of the game, because in the end, if you're teaching or like trying to explain a solo queue game, every game is different. So I cannot teach them how to play every game specifically because they have to do it themselves in the end. However, I can give them guidelines and directions to making sure that they are improving and aware of their own mistakes and bringing them awareness how, for example, certain lanes work, right? Because I know how most matchups go in every lane, so I can help with anything really. Like that's so I'm just very excited.
Yeah, fair. And just another question for you as well. Do you think it's true that, like, especially in lower elos, there's roles that are harder to climb on as well? Because I know, like, this is something that's as old as time, right? Like, people have been debating this for the past 15 years, pretty much. I mean, and do you believe in Elo L as well, or is it not really something that happens?
Well, this is actually a question I get on my stream every day. It's like, which role is the hardest to carry? And then I ask my chat, and everyone always saying different stuff.
Yeah.
So I believe that certain roles, of course, are stronger in certain elos. And let's say, from my experience, if you are playing at the highest level, so I'm giving the highest level of example here, is where, of course, the jungler and the support have a lot of agency in the early game. So usually they make the plans around the objectives. They have the engage tools, or they have the invading power, right? So at the highest level, I would say the jungle support have a lot of impact in the early game. However, then the mid, AD carry, and top laner will have a lot of impact. Let's say on side lane, solo laners play with teleport, and then the AD carry is of course scaling. But like, if you would say like, you're playing in lower elo and you're playing a roaming support, of course it's going to be hard sometimes for you to enable that laner that you want to enable, and then maybe sometimes you can fail in that aspect. So like, in that way you can also adapt, where if you are playing lower elo supports, you can play AP carries on bot lane, for example, right? Or you can play like a zero support, and then you can just stomp your lane, right?
Yeah.
So I think that in every elo it depends, and I would say that mid lane, very nice role. I actually climbed to challenger with 75% win rate in the last 2 weeks. So mid lane is very good.
Yeah.
I also know that I'm of course tracking all the world's players, and I can see players like Bin, reaching 85% win rate, like with the crazy stats. And I've seen the craziest stats on every role. But I think support actually looks like the hardest. But jungle, AD carry, mid, and top, if you're good, then you will climb for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I've been keeping you here for quite some time already, and I think we've exhausted like all the major questions that we had as well. So I just want to quickly ask you, do you have any message that you want to give out to the community before we close off as well? Because I mean, obviously this is a big chapter, right, in your life now, and there's been so many people that followed you over so many years. So any message for them?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone who has been supporting me, and I hope you guys will continue to support me in my new chapter. And as you know, I'm officially a coach. So if you need help, feel free to reach out. I'm always streaming on Twitch under the name FEBIVEN. And I am, of course, launching my project, which you will be having access to. And yeah, thank you guys so much. And I really appreciate the support.
Perfect. Well, FEBIVEN, in any case, thank you so much for talking with me today. And I mean, once again, it's been a very eventful last 11 years for you in your career, but I really hope that this new chapter is going to be marking the next 10 years, right, in this new role for you. So good luck to you. Thank you so much again for talking with us in this Christmas season. And yeah, hopefully we'll get a nice gift next year in January, right?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Well, have a good night and see you soon then.
Thank you so much. Good night.